Hi guys, all right. Let's go over the next major writing assignment, the writing in the disciplines assignment. So by now you have most likely discovered the general flow of the course, but just in case you are still curious about when things are due, you want to make sure that you submit the writing in the disciplines essay right here for my review by midnight on Wednesday, and right here by midnight on Wednesday for peer review. And then you want to make sure that by Thursday at midnight, you have used the peer review guidelines to submit peer review on one peer's draft. Again, remember, please do not duplicate peer reviews. So unless every student in the class has been reviewed, don't double up on a student who's already been reviewed. Okay? So let's go ahead and go over that assignment. So, right here, the assignment requirements for the writing in the disciplines. Okay. So these are the basic learning objectives. You want to write 5 to 6 pages, and that is the ultimate length, right? So you'll see by draft 2, you should be at 5 to 6 pages in length, but draft 1 is 4 pages. And that's because by draft 2, you should have added another, roughly 1.5 pages to 2 pages of revisions. I'll go over that when I get to draft 2 here in just a minute. So the ultimate goal would be that you have written a 5 to 6 page essay in response to writing within your field, that you have been able to locate examples of writing in your field, and that you discuss how you plan to or anticipate using literacy in your profession or your related global contributions, that you develop an understanding of the process of researching and composing in your field. And you want to format this assignment in APA. And we will use a writer's reference to help you understand those conventions. And you will see in this unit in our As You Learn page, where I've provided links not just to a writer's reference, but also to the Purdue OWL to show you how you format using APA, and that you give full and thoughtful and supportive feedback to at least one peer's draft. Okay. So draft 1 of the assignment is a 4-page essay in which you respond to writing in your discipline, major, or field. And that essay should include the 3 sources that you find, and it should be submitted in APA format as outlined in a writer's reference or the Purdue OWL. So one of the learning objectives of RC 2001 is that students be exposed to disciplinary conventions beyond MLA. And so this is where we are now at this point in the semester. From here on out, we'll be working in APA formatting. And that's because at ASU, we have a vertical writing model. So from here, you're going to go into your junior year and your senior year where you have writing intensive courses. You'll have that WID course, that junior level writing in the disciplines course, and your senior level capstone course. And the expectation is that by the time you complete RC 2001, you've been exposed to ways to write academically and cite beyond MLA, which is typically taught in the high school setting. And that's so that based on whatever major field or profession you head into, you know what other ways of writing and referencing you may be expected to be able to demonstrate. And so we will hang out in APA from here forward. So what is this assignment? Well, while the literacy narrative focused on your writerly and readerly life up to this point, this writing in the disciplines assignment focuses on the writerly and readerly life that you're heading into, given your chosen major or profession. So to complete this assignment, you'll want to find 3 examples of the kinds of writing or composing that takes place in your field. This research process will help you discover the locations where writing takes place in your field and how that research is communicated. For example, is it an academic journal? Is it through public domain? Is it through the media? Once you determine this, make sure you cite the 3 sources above, provide an APA formatted list of references, and use those references to support your essay as you describe where writing takes place in your discipline. Also, don't forget that part of this process is your own response to at least one peer's draft using full, thoughtful, and supportive feedback, using those peer review guidelines that I posted on As You Learn. As you prepare to research and write this particular assignment, it's going to be helpful for you to consider a few things about why you have chosen your major, discipline, or field, or what, even if you're undecided at this point, what you imagine your life's work to be. So think about these 2 things. What issues in your discipline, major, or field would you like to investigate? What would feel authentic? interesting or useful to you personally in your chosen line of work? And what topic or issue within your major do you most wish to pursue and why? And so what I'm asking you to think about here is, so whatever your chosen major is, let's say nursing. What is it that draws you to nursing? What do you want to do? How do you want to be impactful as a nurse? Is there certain kinds of, is there a certain field of nursing you want to go into? Is there a certain type of research as a nurse that you want to help with? And so then you would identify what writing looks like in those areas of that profession. So if it is, you want to work on, say, cancer as a nurse, and you want to work, on an oncology ward, then what kinds of writing would you be expected to do as a nurse doing that work? If you're a sustainable development major and you want to go out into the world and do sustainable development work, where do you find writing about sustainable development in certain communities? Do you find it most in academic journals? Do you find it in public domains? If you're a political science major, what kind of work do you want to do? And where do you find the writing that would take place around that work? If you're a history major, where do historians do their writing? If you're an English major, how do you plan to use English as a career, use your English major as a career? And what kinds of writing might be expected of you? What does that writing look like, and where does it take place? Okay, so again, the literacy narrative asks you to think about your journey so far as a reader and a writer. Now I'm asking you to think about where you're heading as a reader and a writer, as somebody who's decided to come to college and who has come to college because you imagine it will help you pursue a major or a field or a global impact that you hope to make once you leave ASU. Writing will undoubtedly be embedded in that work. And what does writing look like there? And where does writing get communicated? That's the goal of this assignment. So grading criteria then for draft number 1. I want to make sure that you have written 4 APA formatted pages in response to writing in your field using those 3 sources. Using those 3 sources to show me what writing does look like and where writing takes place in your field. I want to make sure that you have discussed where writing takes place in your field and where you expect your desired contributions to your field to be communicated. So as a writer yourself, do you imagine that your writing will also be housed in those places? And then I want to make sure that you've given full and thoughtful supportive feedback to at least one peer's draft. That is an initial 10% of your grade, and that you have effectively crafted that specific response to your peer's draft using the peer review guidelines that I post to As You Learn. That's the other 10% of your grade. You'll notice on this assignment that peer review actually counts for 20% of your assignment grade. And that's because this is a weird assignment. You'll never have written anything like this before. Students are going to feel a little bit overwhelmed with this assignment. You yourself might find that you're grasping at straws and you're not sure. You maybe don't feel comfortable that you've achieved the goals of the assignment. So by really sitting with your peer review and giving thoughtful feedback, you will be doing your peer that favor of addressing their draft, but also it will help you orient yourself to your own draft and understand where to go from there in terms of your own revisions for draft 2 that will be submitted through the final portfolio. By that point in draft 2, you should arrive at 5 to 6 pages in length, and that's because you'll be taking into consideration your peers' feedback, my feedback from earlier in the term at that point, and you will use that feedback to expand and improve the quality of the draft. You'll use that feedback to further develop areas within the draft and strengthen the structure of the previous draft, making sure you demonstrate a strong voice throughout the essay and a clear sense of direction. Also, making sure that you are sticking to APA citation conventions and correct spelling, grammar, and mechanics. And this then are the grading criteria that I will be looking at as I approach your final draft in the final portfolio. Okay, so that's the next major assignment. That is the Writing in Your Disciplines assignment.